The name 50 Cent is a metaphor for change.
When you're in my situation, there's no plan B. You know, it's music or we sell crack.
I came in the rap humble. I don't give a fuck now. I serve anybody like niggas who hustle up down.
You better recognize, nigga, I'm straight from the street. This industry niggas is starting to look like something to eat.
This is the nigga that Ja Rule's coming at right here. That's the man right here.
Now.
Get out the club, bitch.
In my hood, they let the chopper spray. Somebody probably got shot to death. I gave you a style, Gucci this, Fendi that. Yeah. Burberry bag, shoes in the hat to match.
I stay with my gang in case I gotta pop somebody.
50 Cent and the G-Unit!
I put a hole in a nigga for fucking with me. What's mine's is mine's. What's yours is mine. Damn, baby, all I need is a little bit. I wanna live good, so shit, I sell dope for a 4-finger ring. I put Lamborghini doors on that Escalade.
50 Cent and G-Unit stated that the game was no longer part of G-Unit.
I get it.
I wish he would come take one of my awards so I could black his eye in front of everybody.
I'm a soldier boy, I got no choice but to be a rider.
Do you think about me?
Me, I keep my gun around, it's never on safety.
We made this run. I gave this territory to Ghost and the Tommy, and they gave it to you. The shit is alone.
What's up? Oh! What's up? G-Unit, whoa! We in here, whoa! We can get the drama poppin', nigga. Boom, boom, boom! 50 Cent, you know how I get down. What up, blood? What up, blood? What?
Marie is ready to buy her first home.
But a down payment and closing costs, those are big checks.
Good thing I have big.
50 Cent was born Curtis James Jackson III on July 6, 1975 in Jamaica, Queens. His mother Sabrina was just 15 when she had him, and he never knew his pops.
I asked my mother one time, we was in the park. I saw a little boy throwing the football back and forth with his father. And I said, well, I don't got no father, Mom. She said, because you was special. He was born to the Immaculate Conception.
Sabrina moved out of the crib after Curtis was born, and he was raised by his grandparents. His mom wasn't around much because she was out here drug dealing in the streets. Southside Jamaica, Queens back then was one of the roughest neighborhoods in New York. When Curtis was just 8 years old, his aunt and his grandfather went into Sabrina's crib because they noticed something was off, and they ended up just seeing her laying there, dead.
Someone put something in a drink, and then they turned the gas on. She spent a few days in the space that she was in after she passed away, so her body was all decomposed by the time they got to her.
By the time he was 11, he started to learn how to box, and he saw all the drug dealers outside, the flashy clothes, the nice cars, nice jewelry, so he idolized that and wanted to emulate them. So from 3 to 6 p.m. while his grandparents thinking he's in after school, he was really on the streets hustling selling crack. And when he was 14, he got arrested for bringing drugs into school. And at 17, he was busted again. When the cops searched his crib, they found heroin, coke, and $15,000 in cash. The charges could have sent him to prison for 9 years, but as a teen facing his first felony, he was offered a different route, 6 months in a military-style boot camp. When he got out, he went right back into the streets, but he then made a decision that would change his life forever. Then one day in 1996, he had a chance meeting with Run DMC's Jam Master Jay at a nightclub. He faked it till he made it and said, yeah, I know how to rap. He made a rough demo track for him. What Jay heard was raw, but very real. He saw that he had hella potential, and he signed him to his label, Jam Master Jay Records. Now at 21, he got himself a deal. He wanted a new identity though, so he came up with the name 50 Cent, which 50 describes it as a metaphor for change, and he would do things his way.
For me, 50 Cent was a metaphor for change, and then I would do things my way, which would be drastically different.
Also inspired by the Brooklyn dealer Kelvin Martin, who was known as the original 50 Cent. He would eventually have his own kid too at the age of 22. So now he gotta do what he gotta do to provide for that kid and give him the life that he never had, to have a dad. 2 years later, his career progress was kinda slow, and he was getting mad that Jam Master Jay wasn't giving him his undivided attention. So one day he saw record executive Corey Rooney outside of a barbershop in Queens. He found his opportunity.
He comes over to the car. He had like his hood on and looked sketchy. At that point, I didn't know he was gonna rob me.
I gave him my tape and put it in, playing it, and the phone rang and he was on the telephone.
I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And he gave me the look because I wasn't paying attention.
Like, give me my tape, man. You're mad old school. He looked at me like, what's the matter with him?
He doesn't realize I can multitask, so I heard everything he did. This was far beyond, oh, this guy is good. I thought, wow, this is the next Jay-Z.
He then got signed to Columbia Records, but most of his advance money went to pay his way out of the J contract. Broke, he then went back to drug dealing, and in the matter of just 2 weeks, he would go and create his classic debut mixtape, Power of a Dollar.
It's the money that makes shit get ugly. It's the money that make these hoes love me.
How you gonna take this like a man or a bitch? You gonna get it on, nigga, or you gonna snitch? Yo,
Get caught talking the popo.
what you say to him, son?
Then get hit with the fofo.
Rule number 3, if you get knocked, play games to say names. 4-5, I tear you out the frame.
Supreme was the businessman and Prince was the killer. Remember? He used to push the bulletproof BM,
What Jigga just sold, like 4 milli, got something to live for. Don't want a nigga putting fold through that Bentley coupe dope.
And many other rappers that he name dropped, including Jay-Z, who even clapped back at 50 on a song.
Go against Jigga, your ass is dense. I'm about $1, what the fuck is 50 cents?
Yo, How to Rob to this day, is still one of the hardest songs 50 ever dropped, bruh. It's just so aggressive and a knock down the door into the industry. One cool fact though that I gotta mention, in 1999 when Nas was dropping his album Nostradamus, he went on a tour promo run, and he actually brought 50 on tour with him and Tony Yayo, being one of, if not the first rapper to truly embrace 50 and do him a favor like that. Cause at this point, all 50 really had was How to Rob. Eventually they would get into a little beef, but I'll explain that later. So now he's starting to get known. He was making enemies for sure, but none other than another Queens rapper who was already popping at the time, Ja Rule. In fact, one of 50's homies robbed Ja for his chain, and the energy changed between the two parties ever since. And 50 put the feud on fire with the track Your Life's on the Line. To really talk about how all this started, we gotta talk about what was really going on in the streets of Queens at the time. So there was a gang that ran the streets of Jamaica, Queens from the 80s till 2001. Called the Supreme Team. If you haven't heard of them at all, well, I highly suggest you watch the Showtime 3-part documentary series that Nas directed actually. It's pretty incredible the amount of detail that went into that. But basically, well, not basically, they were an organized crime syndicate is what the internet calls them. But yeah, they were a gang that operated through the streets of Jamaica during that time. The leaders were Kenneth Supreme McGriff and his nephew Gerald Prince Miller. Now what does any of this have to do with 50 Cent? Well, Supreme pleaded guilty in the late 80s to engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise. He was released on parole in 1994, but all of the money he made from drug trafficking was taken away. He did a lot of thinking while alone in jail, so he realized that the drug game was just a dead end. He had a vision of wanting to go legit and wanted to make money legally while getting into the entertainment industry. His life changed when he became part of the label Murder Inc., which would eventually become 50's biggest enemy. Supreme first met Ja Rule and his boss Irv Gotti at the music video shoot Get the Fortune. Back when Ja was still part of the group Cash Money Clique and was still trying to hit the mainstream, Preem was doing everything he could to be a real businessman, and he quickly became part of the Murder Inc. family. He had Irv and Ja under his wing, giving them protection and safety, while giving Irv and Ja that street cred, since no one wanted to mess with the Preem team. So in 1999, Ja Rule was robbed for his chain at gunpoint by a dude named Troy, who accused Ja of sleeping with his girl while he was in jail. He ended up calling Preem for help, who then promised to handle it. Ja then shot a music video for the song Murder for Life on Jamaica Ave, and 50 decided to pull up since they're from the same hood.
At this point in the 2020s, woke is everywhere. And I kept wondering, how did this happen? Where did wokeism come from? Is it here to stay? And if it is, are there alternatives to wokeism? Thus began what would become a journey across the United States to try to find some answers. We're talking with people like Vivek Ramaswamy, Michael Ferris, Jeremy Boring, Jonathan Isaac, and Amanda Ensing. These are the people who are doing something about it, and we have proof that you can push back by providing alternatives.
The same day, they went to a party at a club and the two met again this time, but 50 was with Troy, the dude who took Ja's chain.
A friend of mine's robbed Ja Rule. And I'm in a club, and I see the nigga, I'm like, hey, what's up? You know, chilling. He see me kicking it with the nigga that robbed him, and he feel like, oh shit, I shouldn't speak to this dude, because I know the kid robbed him, but I know this kid, I grew up with him. I'll tell you personally, the Murder Inc., the people that you see, like Irv, Ja, the people that are involved in the business aspect are bitches. Like, these niggas don't got no hood in them.
Ja started acting up once he saw Troy and 50 laughing together, so 50 allegedly got tight for getting brushed off by the whole Murder Inc. crew. According to the Gotti brothers, 50's hatred came from jealousy, seeing how Ja and them got all the love from the hood. 50 then had a convo with Preem asking for advice and what he should do against Ja, and Preem responded with,
his idea is, yo, leave them alone, they are food.
50 agreed, but he ended up dropping a diss record called Your Life's on the Line, like I said earlier, containing all kinds of vulgar, direct lines towards Ja.
Why you ready to Preem to get your shit back? Why you wanna approach me? Cause you know I'll put your shit back. Murder.
50 clearly took this beef with Ja very serious. He felt like Ja was just some studio gangster and needed to hang around real thugs for people to believe the lifestyle he was trying to live. In the beginning of 2000, Ja and 50 were both booked to perform at the same place, the Swiss Hotel in Atlanta. 50's manager at the time and founder of Black Hand Entertainment, Chaz Slim Williams, spoke to Ja Rule and told him to speak with 50 and settle all of this and make peace. So then he went back to 50 and told him the same thing, like, yo, ain't you supposed to go speak with Ja? But Slim said he seemed to be reluctant about it and didn't really want to do it. He told 50 you might as well get it over with now. So then 50 said alright, and when he went to pull Ja to the side away from the guys, Ja walked towards 50 with a bat in his hand. And as Ja was talking, he was making gestures with the bat in his hand, and he was raising his voice, so 50 swung on him.
Ja Rule, I was black already. His shit was like this. 50 caught him already. His shit was like this already, nigga. Like this, right here. You see? Look, camera got it? You got it, Kim? You got my man from overseas? That shit was like this. 50 a boxer, caught Ja Rule already.
Ja Rule was fighting back and put 50's shirt over his face, started hitting him. 50 managed to snatch Ja Rule's chain though, and ran to the elevator with his homies.
And then I guess the chain pop, he snuffed him, and you know, Southside nigga. And had the chain. Go in the hotel, he showed me the chain. Marquise had it, everybody, his son had it, everybody.
Ja Rule's chain.
Yeah, it was just getting passed around in the hood.
Okay.
Yo, honestly, I wish there was footage of all of this, but it does give it that old school mysterious feel to it, kinda like a hood legend. Cause back then cameras weren't really a thing, you know? He then went and recorded the music video for Your Life's on the Line, wearing Ja Rule's chain, bruh.
Murder, I don't believe you. Murder, murder, your life's on the line.
Supreme then approached 50, and 50 gave him his side of the story, saying he was jumped. Preem understood the situation, but still wanted Ja's chain back. 50 still respected Preem at the time, so he gave him his chain back, but he did get a gold watch in return. Which, funny story about that, Tony Yayo said it was a Movado watch he had that someone robbed him for while he was on the Nostradamus tour. 3 years later, 50 mentions this in the song Back Down. Chaz Slim Williams, who I said was 50 Cent's manager at the time, and Preem tried arranging a meeting between Ja and 50 to try and get the beef squashed. 50 showed up, but he refused to sit down with them though, because he felt like it was gonna get physical again. He probably felt like he was gonna be the only one getting the criticism, because he was the one who was really being the one nagging on this beef, and being upset that he wasn't getting the recognition that he felt like he deserved. He was kind of a problem child, and 50 didn't have a career yet at that point, while Ja was out here being successful as hell already. Chaz didn't like that 50 didn't come to the meeting, so he told 50 you're on your own now. Which 50 even talked about this on the song Many Men years later.
Slim switch sides on me, let niggas ride on me. I thought we was cool, why you want me to die, homie?
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is not with physical products. It's Amazon's other company, Audible. Audible pays me $8,000 to $10,000 every single month in passive income, and I'm not the only one. People like Katrina and Carla, Elena, Renee, all making thousands of dollars.
The next big incident that would take place was the stabbing at the Hit Factory recording studio in March of 2000. Ja Rule and 50 were in the same building at the same time, and when Ja found out he was in the building, he was like,
We walk into the studio, we hear Rule going crazy. He's yelling and screaming, and what's happened, what happened? And mind you, we have about 40, 50 guys with us in the studio. We had the big room, the #1 room is in the Hit Factory, huge room. Rule's like, he's here. He's here. Rule had crutches. He was on MTV. I think he did something on jet skis and messed his ankle up. So he had crutches. His ankle's messed up. And he's like, who's here? He's like, 50. He's here. He's in the building. He's like, and I want to get him. Let's get him now. This is Rule. The end of the day, we're sitting there. I'm trying to keep, Irv is doing the talking with Rule, and he's trying to keep a level head with Rule. Like, what are you worried about? Let's do what we do. Fuck that. And then it hit him like he asked Irv a question. The question was, you not riding with me? And you riding with me? You ain't riding with me? Yeah. And that's when all I seen Irv do was unbuckle his watch. I knew what that was, so that was it. And then we went looking for him in the studio.
There was a stabbing that took place to 50 Cent at the studio where all hell broke loose. And the man that did that was a rapper named Black Child. There's all kinds of different perspectives of this story. I'm gonna let Black Child say his part, then I'll let Tony Yayo say his part.
I don't really remember who was there, my memory is kind of fucked up. I smoke a lot of weed. You know what I mean? I smoke a lot of weed. It was me and a few other people. I don't even remember who was with me. What's beef? You know what I mean? Beef is when you see a nigga in this fucking studio or wherever, and the nigga want to talk, and niggas was like, nah, ain't nothing to talk about, right? It's like 5 of us and 5 of them, and niggas is getting it on and fighting and bond. Some way, somehow, the lights got hit off, and niggas was getting it on in the dark. It wasn't like nobody hit the snitch like niggas is gangster and niggas hit the switch. Know what I mean? The fucking not see nothing. It's just in the mix of it being so crowded and niggas beefing. Somebody bumped into the light switch and it got dark. That's what happened, son. Know what I mean? Because it was like 10 niggas and getting it on in the dark. One of the niggas with 50, like, yo, where the gat at? What? I just start hitting niggas, vom. Because I first thing kicked in my mind, if niggas get to the gat, one of us is dead. But I felt the gat was in the area and niggas was reaching for it. Know what I mean? And I wasn't letting nobody get to their gun to pop me. Know what I mean? So I started poking niggas straight up and down. And that's the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Niggas had a 45, I swear to God, with no safety. If that shit was in the room, it would be a whole different scenario. Y'all don't understand how real it is. Ja Rule and them niggas would have been dead. Cause either me or 50 gonna squeeze. You come running in the studio like that, we gonna squeeze. So they had God on their side. But we would have caught a body and niggas would have been in jail, bro. Either me and 50 would have been in jail. I swear on my dead father. Ja Rule would have been dead. Chris Gotti, all them niggas that ran in it, they would have been dead. Cause we here, the gun was right next door, like right where the couch is at, where you at. And it wouldn't have been no 50 Cent story.
Yeah, I mean, luckily they didn't.
It would have been Ja Rule got killed. They had like bitch niggas. They had like kitchen utensils. They had like motherfucking crutches and shit.
50 got stabbed that day, right? He didn't get stabbed,
Vlad,
right?
shut the fuck up with that shit.
Okay. He got
the
cut?
motherfucker had a scratch.
He got cut a little.
You want to see what I got? You look on my finger right here. If you look on my finger, I got cut right there. Just look bad because it was sliced and meat was hanging. No homo.
That was from that night?
So, look. Yeah, that was from that night. And this right here. And on the knuckle right there. 50 had a scratch.
Yo, boy, the way Yayo tells his stories are straight comedy, fam. Murder Inc. ended up paying $250,000 in hospital fees to those that were injured in the crew. 50 then filed a restraining order on the Gotti brothers. Irv and Chris both got arrested for the attack, but got out because 50 didn't show up to court. Now, out of nowhere, the song Ghetto Quran got leaked online. And boy, oh boy, man, did this song cause some problems.
Team, see niggas feared Prince and respected Supreme. For all you slow motherfuckers, I'ma break it down iller. Supreme was the businessman and Prince was the killer. Remember? He used to push the bulletproof BM, His head get you seasick. I sat back and peeped shit. They roll with easy water then. They ain't get blunted. Had the whole projects working for 50 or 500 as a youth. All I ever did was sell crack. I used to idolize Cat. Hurt me to my heart to hear that nigga snitched on Pat. How he go out like that? Rumors in the hood was just for snitching. I ain't believe that, Pa. He helped me cop my first GSXR, had the 4 and the Z, the 5 and the 3. Used to drive his truck through the hood, dragging jet skis from Joe Wallace to Baby Wise. Don't be surprised at how freely I throw out names of guys who dealt with pies. L got shot in the neck, then toes connect. Them niggas who shot him got him for 10 bricks. Fucking Dominicans turned around and gave him more bricks. Rest in peace to Rich and Ron. Money what they was about, yo. The twins was from Queens, but got crazy cream without Poe. Throughout my time I heard tales of Jaime, Frenchie, Jamaican Paulie, Ducky Coley, Rodney bumping chick shit. A lot of niggas flow the way I flow, but ain't been in the game all that life, so don't know who I know. On the strength, y'all niggas don't want it with me. Y'all deal with fantasy, I deal with reality on the strength.
To 50, he was just paying homage to street legends and some of his idols, but Preem and them took it way differently, saying he was working with the feds and violating the code of the streets. And the police were really dissecting this track and asking 50 if he could elaborate more about his lyrics. And 50 was just like, listen to the song. Preem took that differently and felt like 50 was just telling him to use his lyrics as evidence. So at this point, Preem was starting to feel a type of way. He kept telling 50 to leave Ja and Murder Inc. alone, but instead 50 takes the chain and poses it in his music videos to now airing out dirty laundry is what Preem thinks. And that song Ghetto Quran was actually getting DJs beat up in the club, bruh, if they ever played that record. And at this point, every time Preem and Murder Inc. looked a certain way, 50 was out here mimicking them and calling them studio gangsters and whatnot. So Preem was starting to get worried that 50 was gonna mess up Ja Rule's career and ruin the bag for everybody in their camp, including him. So 50 was becoming a real threat. So Preem ended up putting out a hit on 50 and 3 other dudes. But for the purpose of this video, we'll focus on 50.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie ever.
Not bad, right?
5 stars.
The day is May 24th, 2000, around 12 p.m. His grandma was in the front of his house in Jamaica and 50's kid was inside too. She was bent over planting flowers in the garden and he walked outside to get in the vehicle where his friend was waiting for him. A car pulled up on the side of them and a guy came out the passenger seat of that car, came around behind it and shot through the actual car. All shots fired at close range.
I got shot right here, right? I was sitting in the car, the nigga was waiting, double parked, he was waiting on me, right? They like came up and pulled on the side, like right here. Nigga was real, like a real sneaky ass nigga, cause he came around the back of the car. So like he like this. And broke shit, fell out the back. I'm like, yo, fuck up, nigga. He froze up, nigga. Nah, shit, how the fuck you ain't pull up? I'm jumping around the back of the motherfucking car and shit, you know what I mean? Cause nigga followed on. What the fuck you gonna do?
While getting shot, 50 reached for his gun, but it wasn't cocked. When he put his gun out the window, the guy shot his hand.
When I put the gun out the actual window, he shot down at my hand and moved away. So I got hit my thumb and came out the top of my pinky. That's why I ain't got no knuckle on my right hand.
Blood gushed all over the back seat. His friend drove straight to the hospital, stopping only to drop the gun in a sewer. While at the hospital, he had tubes all over his body. His tongue had swollen so much that he was almost suffocating himself. The doctors were willing to do a surgery where he may never speak again. 50 survived the operation while being in critical care for 13 days, and now the healing process begins. Now he has crutches and a wired shut mouth, which took about 5 months to heal. There was speculation on the streets as to who did this. Come to find out, it was a man by the nickname Hamo who was paid to do it. He was actually one of Mike Tyson's best friends and his bodyguard. 3 weeks later though, he was actually shot in the back of the head and died by a man named Damian Hardy, who was once engaged to Lil Kim.
Well, the nigga that shot me dead. What you want me to do? You know, the nigga that sent him to shoot me in jail. He got life.
50 mentions this situation years later on the classic song Many Men. Hamo shot me, 3 weeks later he got shot down. Now it's clear that I'm here for a real reason, cause he got hit like I got hit, but he ain't fucking breathing. Crazy thing is though, 50 and his label Columbia Records were gearing up to drop the music video for his first big radio hit called Thug Love with Destiny's Child.
Look, we can shop together, mama, his and hers. Fifth ass shit, baby, Fendi first.
The shooting happened just 3 days before the video was scheduled. Yeah, after this, Columbia said, and it never happened. In fact, the label was actually scared of this whole situation. He actually signed a publishing deal with them as he was hospitalized, but he was quickly dropped from the label after they were like, nah, this is too risky, since they speculated that the song Ghetto Quran was allegedly the reason for the shooting. He couldn't even get them to answer the phone. He approached a bunch of other labels, but found no takers, meeting with executives who were legit shaking while speaking to 50 and his crew. They had bulletproof vests on, a gun that was already cocked. P. Diddy was actually the first person to call 50 to get back to work and be a songwriter. 50 was in his office, heard an altercation outside, and 50 had paranoia. Whenever something didn't feel right, he was pulling that gun out because he was not trying to get shot again. Diddy saw this when he walked in and was like, yeah, nah, I don't need this in my life right now. Now 50 was blackballed from the entire industry, unable to work in a United States recording studio, so he went to Canada. 50's hustle at this point was at an all-time high, bruh. He was like, alright, y'all not gonna work with me? Okay, now it's time to drop these mixtapes. And boy did he have the mixtape game on lock, recording a bunch of songs to build up his reputation and to finally get that deal from someone. 50's first mixtape would drop on April 23rd, 2002, called Guess Who's Back.
It's best you be a gentleman and you watch what you say. I'm on parole, I used to be on probation. I with my gun, I get full cooperation.
Yo, black is flashy like Alpo, gun happy like Pappy. Sneaky motherfucker, mommy, a nigga that clap me.
In fact, Nas back in '96 formed a group called The Firm, and 50 was initially considered a slot in the crew, along with Mary J. Blige. It just didn't end up working out. Who knows how this could have turned out had 50 been a real part of this, cause the clique only lasted like 4 or 5 years, and they only made one album together. Although Nas and a Firm member, Nature, did a song together for this mixtape called Too Hot, which is fire by the way.
You could be a rider and ride or a coward and hide. Either way you go against me, you still gon' die.
Soon after this mixtape dropped, 50 Cent was discovered by none other than Eminem, who listened to a copy of this tape through 50 Cent's attorney, who was working with Eminem's manager, Paul Rosenberg.
Yeah, that's right. You got the camera on, you got the camera on. When he decides he's not gonna do it no more, you figure out who's gonna be number one, huh? All right, number 2 now, until he's tired.
Gotta ask, how in the hell did this whole collaboration come about? You and Eminem, talk to me.
I don't know, I'm just blessed, The situations just fall into place. The same way the trouble just come to me sometimes, some good things just come to me.
Nah, but 50, not for real. We gotta keep it real though. You had a record out, and then for a while, it was like, what's up with 50? And then next thing you submerge, and it's like you with M. So like, how did the introduction take place? How did that whole thing just happen?
I work the streets in the city, you know what I mean? Clue, it's a lot of big DJs out there in the street that you gotta get in touch with.
Right.
50's had a lot of stuff out.
Right.
And just been making noise. And I heard about 50 a couple of years ago and just basically been following through the whole thing. And I'm just now in the position where I can start signing my own groups and signing my own acts and stuff like that. So.
And would eventually get him a deal with Interscope.
It was like every single song that came on ended up becoming like one of my favorite songs. I felt like 50 was gonna be gigantic. Within them couple of days, I had brought him to Dre and was like, yo, you need to hear 50. I played him one record and he was like, let's do it.
He called me and it wasn't even like business hours. It was like fly out in the middle of the night and I just said, all right, I'm going.
I remember when he walked in, I was excited to meet him and was like, homie, I'm a fan. And I just started blurting out songs and lyrics and pretty much knew him by heart, and was like kind of on some fan.
He was so excited, he made me nervous. Like, he was like, yo, I'm telling you, this is it, this and that. And I was like, yo.
He didn't really say too much and I was kind of wondering like, does this guy like me?
At this point, Yayo and 50 were already tight since '98, but Lloyd Banks came into the picture a little later. They all knew each other already, especially Yayo and Banks, and 50 used to see Banks rapping by the barbershops at a young age at like 13, 14 years old, but didn't really pay him no mind. Mind you, 50 was like 20, 21 at this point, but eventually some years go by, and Yayo would tell 50 like, yo, you gotta work with this dude. Lloyd Banks is the truth, and through some conversations, that's really all it took for Banks to lock in the studio with them. And now with the release of their first mixtape, 50 Cent is the Future, the Streets was put on to a new group, Gorilla Unit, aka G-Unit.
Look, I done changed up, bitch, I done came up. My neck, my wrist, my ears, my fists all blamed up.
Mad cause I'm flossing bad, I ain't a wrestler, but I put your bitch in the Boston Crab. I talk money cause it costs the brand.
R.I.P. to Ethel, I miss Evo. When I die, I hope heaven look like the ghetto. Picture me trick and take the loss. I'm cheap like the Chinese man with duck sauce.
But how did G-Unit even come about in the first place? Well, we gotta talk about a dude by the name of Bang'em Smurf, who was originally part of the crew and was 50's right-hand man back then. At first, G-Unit was really just a gang. After 50 was shot, he set up a meeting in the Poconos, which is where he was staying at to recover after he was shot. 50 invited Smurf for the meeting, and 50 was saying how he about to come back crazy with the music, but he needed some real people around him. 50 mentioned Smurf in his mixtapes in 2002, and you would hear Smurf throughout the mixtapes talking a lot of shit.
G-Unit. I done started my own gang. I don't do that funny dance. I don't throw gang signs. And I'm a gangster to the core, so I stay with a 9. You think all I do is rap, then you don't know me good. Have Smurf hanging out the sunroof to light up your hood. Word of my mother, 50
G-Unit. Feel by the gorilla that's in the street, man. Y'all better know. Y'all better fail. Word of my mother, nigga. Y'all just wanna do 1 through 4, nigga. G-Unit, 50 Cent, Tony Yayo, Lloyd Banks.
After 50 was signed, Smurf was still around him, even at his Get Rich or Die Trying photo shoot and the In the Club music video. Things were just fine between the two, but that wasn't until Smurf got locked up and his bail was set at $75,000. According to one of Smurf's boys, while he was locked up, he tried calling 50 to bail him out, but 50 kept saying no. This made them all sour and was confused as to why the hell he wasn't helping Smurf out.
So when he got locked up, his bail was $75,000. Now at this point, Get Rich or Die Trying did like $8 million. So, you know, 50 had that money to wipe his ass with. So we just keep calling him, man. We just getting the same answer. So we like, hold on, this went and did things for you. Behind you getting shot, my man was the one that retaliated, you know? You didn't go out and grab your gun. You didn't go and say, oh, these shot me, I'm about to go find them. My was in the car riding around. You know what I'm saying? A lot of from the hood was riding around to take care of that beef for him. He wasn't grabbing no pistol. I feel he a bitch behind that because how you not gonna send money to somebody that did, you know what I'm saying, took care of your business? That's your business. You got shot twice. Smurf didn't get shot. So finally, we get a bail bonds person that says they'll take the house. Smurf's mother's house had to be put up in order to get him out.
When Smurf was released, according to him, he called 50 to ask why no one came to help him out of jail. And according to him, he said that 50 started beefing right away, saying that he sent them back to the hood to get his mind right, and was tight that Smurf was getting in all these kinds of troubles, while 50 was trying to clean up his image being a rapper and an entrepreneur. And on August 13th, 2003, 50 would release a track called Sleep Remix, where he would take direct shots at Smurf.
And she's disappeared.
I'm still here.
Unlike my magic skills, with the new Keurig K-Ice Brewer, you can't go wrong. Press the brew over ice button for less ice melt and full flavor for the perfect iced coffee every time. Made that disappear, didn't I?
Hey, hey, Smurf, don't think I don't hear you out there talking about me, you little dirtbag. Brush your teeth before you talk about me. Wash under your arms, you smell like Queensbridge. Yeah. Tell them niggas how I took that $325,000 back from you, nigga. I'm like God to you niggas. You know God give it, God taketh away. I come back off tour, I'ma catch you, I'ma whoop the skin off your ass, nigga.
Smurf and his boy Domination will make a diss track going at 50.
Muscle head, hard body tissue, can't stop a pistol. Bet you drop and shrivel when the rockets hit you. Stupid, don't act brand new. Yeah. You ran the Smurf, he ain't running you. You ain't a gangster with them homo ways. You still frontin' with a vest on stage. Come to the block and test your Glock another spot besides the firing range. You run with niggas that get shot, I'm with niggas that do the shooting. Banks, answer this, who did the clapping for you when them boys left you for dead? That night outside the Diamond Gym, 50 wasn't there. I know you don't rely on him. This when Banks can't walk in the streets. 50 gotta stay inside that bulletproof Jeep. Ask Curtis how many niggas he shot. Then ask him when the last time he been on the block.
Don't think you safe cause you don't come through the hood. I got my shooters with me. Yeah, this motherfucking on, bastard. Coward ass nigga. Talking about I smell like Queensbridge, right? Alright, nigga. That shit was funny. Good looking for the promotion. Domination. Silverback gorillas, nigga.
Then comes the legendary Summer Jam 2004. When G-Unit was performing, Bang'em Smurf and his homies were actually in the crowd and were taunting 50. 50 tried ignoring them at first, but he ended up getting a bottle of water and poured it all over them. Smurf's crew started throwing chairs at 50, and 50 ended up catching one of the chairs and was laughing, bruh. That same year, the G-Unit mixtape Motion Picture Shit dropped. And on one of the tracks, 50 and Banks would go directly at Smurf.
So what, I grew up with them niggas. I ain't stuck with them niggas. We from the same hood, but I don't fuck with them niggas. Shit pop off, I touch one of them niggas. Cut one of them niggas, fuck one of them niggas. I grew up with you, nigga, but I don't fuck with you, nigga. Got shot in the back, turned around and got shot in the eye. Nigga go shoot back, lay down and die. There's a message in my music, can you hear it, Kai? Your man's never gonna blow and you're the reason why. It's disease infested when I spit it, any nigga can get it. Fuck the front and then the rhyme, that ass to get flatlined. Can't we all just get along? We used to be friends. Nah, fuck that, man, we used to pretend. These niggas is comedians, I thought I was tight funny. 5 call telling niggas what need bail money on some real shit. Would you bail a nigga out, son, and new niggas was trying to kill you and would let you hold a gun? Think about it.
The beef would pretty much die down until 2008 when 50 was asked about Smurf in an interview, and he said this.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think about Smurf being deported? You know what I'm saying? I know you probably heard about that.
You said who? Smurf?
Smurf. Yeah.
Yeah, look. That's my baby. You understand what I'm saying? Smurf is my baby boy. He's upset and he get confused. When he get confused, you know what he do? He get angry.
Fast forward to 2014, Smurf was interviewed and went off, even exposing 50 about the song In the Club, saying 50's Animal Ambition just dropped, he flopped. Once he flopped, G-Unit is gonna flop even extra hard. Banks is not really a street kid or a hustler. He don't know nothing about hustling, getting money out there, scrambling in the streets. So in the industry, it's gonna be the same way, you know what I mean? They depend on 50, that's their daddy. That In the Club hook was a Lloyd Banks hook. 50 took that off Lloyd Banks and did it over. The biggest record in the world today was a Banks hook. Man, if that's true, that's interesting. In August of 2002, they released another tape called No Mercy, No Fear.
I'm like an animal with it when I spit it, it's crazy. Got semi-autos and bullholes and niggas trying to play me. The ball about the bar saying everybody drink the best champagne, it's all on me. Everybody heard of 50 Cent, they heard of G-Unit. I'm not high-tech and I'm not quality.
This tape also featured his breakthrough hit that peaked on the Billboard charts at number 13 with the song Wanksta.
I got a lot of living to do before I die, and I ain't got time to waste.
And bro, when I first heard this song, I think I was in like 2nd grade. Bruh, low-key, this is what introduced me to hip-hop. Cause growing up, all I was really listening to was what my dad was making me listen to. Like the Beatles, Michael Jackson, Temptations, all that stuff. I wasn't really into hip-hop like that. But 50 definitely changed all that for me.
We in Puerto Rico, y'all make some motherfucking noise.
Puerto Rico, put your fucking hands up right now.
Puerto Rico!
Ho, ho!
Puerto Rico!
Ho, ho!
We say you a wankster.
And you need to stop praying.
You ain't no friend of mine. You ain't no kin of mine.
I'm touring off of mixtapes right now. That's how hot we are.
Official joint is December 3rd, but I'm gonna drop those joints every month.
Okay, the street joints.
Yeah.
You know the No Mercy, No Fear.
I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep taking everybody's
50's the
single
future.
and doing it over.
You can't knock him. He's taking niggas' songs, flipping their hooks